reached episode 6. Six, guys. Six.
What are we going to do for our 100th episode? I don't even know why I'm thinking that far ahead, but I mean,
that's triple digit. Can you even count that many?
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
Yeah, you need a calculator.
I need a calculator, but we're in the basement. I don't think my solar calculator will work.
No, it's not UV lighting. That's for damn sure.
Right.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We are episode 6 in. God damn, that's so crazy.
We're actually putting work in. When we drunkenly did the first one,
just like,
I didn't know where it was going to go from that. Yeah, I was like, fuck, whatever.
Exactly. Well, this is the Adulting is Hard podcast, the Ken and Kyle show. I am your host, Kyle, and over there is Still Ken.
Still Ken. Yep.
Still Ken with his COVID-19 haircut going on over there.
Rona hair, bro. Call it Rona hair.
Going to the Rona. Yeah, well, barbershops should be opening pretty soon. Yeah, but aren't they part of phase 2?
They are, but the thing is, the one I go to, and like a lot of, it's going to be so packed.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Dude, Barber's going to make some bank.
Oh, yeah. He does need to make a living, but I get it's just going to be, it may be another couple weeks before I even get a haircut, even after they open.
Yeah. Well, you can't shave your head like mine. You might scare off a few people walking down the street.
I've been told too many times that I intimidate or whatever. I'm like, suck a fat one, dude. You know what I mean?
Here in Idaho, we are approaching phase 2 of our reopening, which means I think restaurants can open back up.
This Saturday, correct? Okay.
Gyms. I can't remember what else goes along with it, but it's like those type of companies.
Salons and stuff.
Salons,
right?
yeah, they can open back up.
Tattoo parlors, I heard.
Yeah. Tattoo parlors.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
One of them is, what do they call it? Skin art. And they that's what they listed it under. And I think there's nothing less infectious than sitting close to somebody for 3 or 4 hours. Nothing against I mean, I have tattoos, nothing against the idea, but I just don't think that is my ideal way of going out and celebrating my freedom from COVID.
Tattoos for everybody.
Tattoos for everybody.
Tattoos for everybody. Yep. But the other thing too is just recently the governors of Florida and Arizona approved that sports can resume in their states.
Yes.
So baseball's coming back. They announced that baseball will be back in July. I believe the July 4th weekend, right around there.
Yes. In a completely different format, but still back.
It's like 80-something games or whatever the format may be. And then they can start their training camps in either Florida or Arizona, unless more states open up and say that you guys can have sports again. That's going to be quite interesting.
I still think we're looking at next year before any major, like here in Idaho, we don't have any major ones, but Washington, these other ones, I think we're looking at next year.
Yeah.
Before fans are allowed to go back.
Yeah, with fans. They're all going to open without fans. That's for sure.
Before we get to actually go sitting there.
Yeah, it's all going to be just televised. Yeah. Like the UFC fight. Did you catch any of the UFC fight? It was interesting.
I heard it was great, though. And I heard
you could hear the hits land cleanly. I mean, it just sounded...
What's his name? He's got a chin. I can't remember.
Dana White.
Huh?
Or no, who are you talking about, fighter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ferguson? No.
But anyway.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, from what I saw, the guy's got a chin, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a chin, and it's different. But.
Yeah, that was just a taste of pretty much what's to come for, in the sports world when they get back to playing again. And I'm going back to work, which is nice. So I just started back last week, and, it's with us because of where I work, it's a slow rev up back to like full steam ahead. So it's spot work here and there. It's half days, a couple full days a week. But, I'm back to work, and I'm so happy. It was 6 weeks off. Not that, vacations are nice, but not a 6 weeks vacation.
No,
start going crazy.
You do.
It's not a vacation because you can't go anywhere. Everything's closed down, and you're losing money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like paid vacation. I work at the college, and I'm concerned about how this is going to happen with the reopening. Yeah.
Because you're going to open up, and then thousands of these people are just going to show back up. Good thing I'm going to be working outside. I'm going to take an easy job. I'm going to mow lawns and shit so that I don't have to be around people. I'm serious.
That's social distancing at its best right there. Plus, you're in the sunlight.
I can't hear you. Fuck off.
You got your head or your earmuff things on.
Yep. I can't hear you. Just fuck off. The building's that way.
But anyway, with us, actually, this last week, we finally launched our website.
Yes.
We've been saying it for a long time, and we finally got it off the ground and flying here. So the website, if you want to take a look at it and see what we have to offer, it's www.adultingproductions.com. We will drop that link in all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, all that shit. Plus, it'll be in the description for this podcast to
Yes.
go check it out. Go look at it. We got our samples, we got our demos on there. We have our services that we offer, and you can contact us through that, and just kind of let us know how we're doing, and if you have any questions or whatever it may be. So basically, it's a production company that we are running for companies that may have been hit pretty hard by the pandemic, or just companies trying to expand their brand and
you
try
could
to
be
get out and grow their base.
A new one that's coming out and
Exactly.
want to run an ad. So just because you're not local with us doesn't mean we can't record the ad and then you take it to where you want to have it advertised on radio, streaming services, whatever it may be.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then one of the other things that we will be having, we're not sure when. We are still working on it. We are going to have a members access on that website. So you'll be able to go in there. You get exclusive nudes, have our OnlyFans page. But no, you'll be able to have exclusive content. You'll have extended interviews from some of the people that we talk with. You'll be able to hear and listen to more of what went on during that interview.
Kind of the after show. Yeah. Like I said, it's the after show.
You'll be able to have there'll be a Q&A discussions with us going on there, like a chat. And then we're also going to have videos on there that we're going to be recording. Whenever we eventually get around to that, we will have little snippets and stuff of videos. But stay tuned. We will announce further details when further details are available for that.
Episode 100.
Yeah. But as of right now, head on over to that website, www.adultingproductions.com, and check us out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so for this episode, this is going to be an awesome episode.
Yeah,
we have it lined up for you. So, as promised before, we are bringing back the true crime segment. This time we have it's a well-known case. If you know about it, you know how fucked up it is and how just demented this guy was, whether or not it had to do with mental illness or the injury that he sustained, which led to his violence and child abuse and rape and all that stuff. Or he's just kind of a piece of shit. Yeah, his name is Ken Rex McElroy out of Skidmore, Missouri. This is back in 1981. It's an unsolved case. Technically, 60 people were there witnessing the murder. However, nobody came forward and everybody shut their mouths, and to this day it remains unsolved.
Yes.
So we're going to dive into that, and right after that, we're going to have an interview with Kirk McCarley. He's an ESPN statistician, I believe is the full name.
Guess that's it. Well,
we learned a ton from this guy. He's the guy who sits off camera from the announcers and the broadcasters or whatever, and he hands them notes on where to go with their conversation or whatever they're having. He gives them stats.
Quarterback started out 1 for 6 for 33 yards and is now 6 of 9 for whatever. So we didn't know that, but this is the man who's like, real quickly, here you go.
Yeah, here's your stats, say them on live TV. So that's how you're getting all your stats when you're watching TV and the announcers are going over these stats. He's actually the one providing those stats.
Including the ones that go across the, what do they call that, on the bottom of the screen or whatever?
That little ticker thing?
The little ticker deal. So this guy, a really nice guy, extremely smart. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Great interview. And then after that, we have another in-studio guest for our third chair. He goes by Bigdawg. He's a local guy. He has become really popular. He's blown up. His videos are viral. Awesome guy all around. He does a lot of charitable work. He's always doing giveaways and raffle drawings and all this different stuff to help people in need.
Yeah, and also his main thing is to get other businesses, or he's about the small businesses, really.
Yeah.
And to get them known and let the people know that they are there still. And now with the opening, they still have these services to offer. And to get you through the door, sometimes a little giveaway happens. You get a gift card, you go in.
Yeah. And, so you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. You got to hear his story. His story is amazing. Yeah. He's just an overall great guy. So we're really happy to have him in studio, and, we'll talk with him about everything and what he does, how he got started, and, basically how he's changing the atmosphere around this. Because, at this point in time, people are, they're depressed.
They are.
They have a bleak outlook.
Yeah.
They're tired of this shit. They can't go anywhere. They're locked down, and the media and social media and the news and all these outlets are saying, people are basically shitty. And he's out there to prove that there's still good people out there doing things for other people.
There is. And unfortunately, all the news is that it's either going to get worse. Some say it's going to get better. But, it's kind of those just if I have any advice for anybody out there, don't watch that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go with the flow. Human nature, go with the flow.
And then, as always, we finish up this episode with a Florida Man article. We got a great one for you. We did a little digging and found a humorous, dare I say? Well, it's always humorous.
Well, it's always humorous.
This is going to prove that bath salts and genetic go hand in hand with people out of Florida.
Yeah. And they are they're the ones who help win elections.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, guys, let's get to our first segment, the true crime on Ken Rex McElroy. Let's just dive right on in. The murder of Ken Rex McElroy took place in plain view of dozens of residents of the small farm town of Skidmore, Missouri, under the bright light of a morning sun. But in a dramatic act of solidarity with the gunman, every witness, minus the dead man's wife, denied seeing who had pulled the trigger. The killing was a shocking end for a notoriously brutal man who had terrorized the area for years with seeming impunity from the law until he was struck down in a moment of vigilante justice. For the past 30 years, the silence of the townspeople had been deafening. No one has ever been brought to trial in McElroy's death, and although there is no statutes of limitations on murder, most people believe that the case will remain unsolved. Today, we will dive into the events surrounding the mysterious shooting, the people involved, and string together theories who may be behind the vigilante killing. But be warned, this case involves material that may be sensitive to some listeners, including violence, rape, and underage sex. So, before we really dive into this, Ken, I got a question for you, and I also have a question for our viewers to, kind of think over. Do you believe that murder is excusable if it's seemingly justified? Not just in this case, but overall. If the justice system has failed you, if the law hasn't done anything to cage a certain person or an activity, is taking that matter into your own hands justifiable?
Yes, I believe it is. Okay. Like you just said, if you've gone the route of the law, and the law has continuously failed, and you and your family or the people around you are in danger, then I'm not talking about self-defense, a guy's knocking on your door, whatever. If you're talking about just going out like they did in this, I can agree with it. And I know a lot of people would say, well, murder's wrong no matter what, this and that. There's a place and a time for certain things.
Sure.
Yes.
And I can definitely see that side of it. My only concern with it is that, the justice system is made up, especially like the jury, is made up of, jury of your peers. Mm-hmm. So people from the town anyway are going to be judged on this. But if it can never get to them for them to judge on, then, maybe it's excusable. I think the circumstances are definitely need context.
Well, and these are unique. This whole case is unique in the fact that the jury of their peers would be a jury of the witnesses who have denied seeing anything.
Exactly. But, as a general rule of thumb for me is I just don't trust anybody and with their judgment, but with this case, it's a little bit different. We're going to get into that and why that's so different. But that's a question for you guys to kind of just ponder and think about as we're going through this. Did they do the right thing? In the year 1981, the town of Skidmore, Missouri was a small farming community with only 437 residents. On July 10, 1981, resident Ken Rex McElroy would be shot dead in the street in broad daylight. There were upwards of 60 witnesses to the murder. However, to this day, the crime remains unsolved. But how is that possible? To get a clearer picture, let's backtrack to the beginning. Who was Ken Rex McElroy? Ken Rex McElroy was born June 1st, 1934, to a family of impoverished migrant workers who had moved to the outskirts of the town of Skidmore, Missouri. Ken was the 15th of 16 children had by Tony and Mabel McElroy. McElroy had dropped out of school in the 8th grade when he was 15. He was known to be very illiterate by those close to him. He became a small-time thief and womanizer, being suspected in theft of grain, gasoline, alcohol, antiques, and livestock. McElroy avoided convictions when he was charged 21 times after witnesses refused to testify because he allegedly intimidated them, frequently falling as targets or parking outside of their houses and watching them. When McElroy was 18, he was involved in a workplace accident at a construction site when a steel beam fell and struck him, leaving him with chronic pain and a possible brain injury. Some have attributed his bizarre and violent behavior to his head injury. McElroy was a giant, weighing nearly 270 pounds. A town farmer described McElroy, quote, I think Ken simply wanted to be big and important and have people afraid of him when he walked down the street. And he got that. They were. So you have to imagine this man. He's 270 pounds, and they said he's a giant, so I'm assuming, well over 6 foot, towering over people.
Yes.
Big, burly dude. And, he's going around and he's committing crimes, small-time crimes, mind you, for the time being. Yes. Small-time crimes, stealing things. He was shooting off his guns, which is another thing. And he was just doing all this stuff, and nobody ever stopped him. He was just a big, intimidating force.
Well, yeah, and what they call small-time crimes was cattle theft, things like that. Okay, those aren't small time when you look at the cost of things.
Right.
Okay, and then for the fact that 22 times he was in court or say charged with, right. And it sounds like he openly and they knowingly knew that he was intimidating witnesses. Right. So where was the law then?
Right. Why
charging somebody with a felony intimidation of a witness.
Right. And, so the reason he got off on these times was because he would follow these people. He would go to their house and he would stake out their house. He would stay there overnight in this truck and watch them and just be, a presence. I don't think, as far as I could tell, he never actually said anything like, "You testify, we'll kill you." It was just the looming presence of him in your everyday life, your every waking moment. He's right there watching you.
Yes.
You're just like, fuck that. I ain't going to testify. And that's how he was able to escape all those convictions.
Yes.
McElroy actually made a decent living by leasing off his land and raising and selling dogs, in addition to his criminal activity of stealing from the townspeople. He was arrested and charged roughly 3 times a year, but escaped convictions every time but once. McElroy was fond of bragging about his charges and non-convictions, and often talked about his Kansas City lawyer, Richard Gene McFadden, who also represented well-known mobsters. McFadden was instrumental in keeping McElroy out of jail. McElroy even escaped conviction after he shot local farmer Romaine Henry in the stomach when Henry caught McElroy on his land trespassing and shooting off his guns and attempted to chase him off. So, you have this dude that you already know is a scary force. He's a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he trespasses on your land, and he's just out there like that fucking dude from Looney Tunes.
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam just firing off his gun.
And now, is that one justifiable, shooting at somebody as trespassing? You're talking country laws. I mean, here where we live, you do not, because people will do it.
He didn't say that he was, attempting to shoot McElroy. He was actually just going over there. It appears that he was going over there and say, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing on my land? Get the hell out of here."
True.
And he turns around and he shoots him in the stomach.
Yes. So, maybe because the guy told him to go fuck off and he didn't like it. But then they talk about his lawyer who was connected to, helping mobsters get off of crimes or whatever. So I'm starting to wonder, so much did this guy McElroy know things about some of the higher up officials? Just luck, good lawyer.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's maybe a little mixture of each. The intimidating force where he would, follow around a witness if they were going to testify against him.
Shit, did the prosecutor not even want to go at him?
No, actually, we'll get into that. Yeah. But I think it's him intimidating the witnesses on top of having a great lawyer, which I don't know how he paid. I mean, maybe his petty crimes can pay for that.
Well, again,
leasing off of
those
land,
crimes that
dogs,
were
whatever.
petty, the theft of property and cattle and stuff like that, that's money.
Yeah.
Those are money.
I guess
cattle, I don't know what a head of cattle costs right now, but I know it ain't cheap.
Yeah. And so I guess that's enough to provide for a really good lawyer that's going to get you off. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this guy doing what he does, sounds like any lawyer can get you off.
And this guy made a career, made his retirement.
Mobsters.
He bought a boat down in Miami off of the money off of this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, he's used to hard cases where he's got to get his client innocent.
Yeah, you got the guy on videotape doing something and be like, whoa, let's talk about the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what we're really seeing?
Yeah. So, I mean, he defends mobsters, so he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And so he did secure himself a good lawyer. You got to give it to him on that. McElroy fathered more than 10 children with different women. He was said to prefer girls between the ages of 12 and 14 and was suspected of raping more than a dozen. He met his last wife, Trina McLeod, when she was 12 years old and in the 8th grade. He would often beat and rape her repeatedly. She became pregnant when she was 14, dropped out of school in the 9th grade, and went to live with McElroy and his third wife, Alice. McElroy divorced Alice and married Trina in order to escape charges of statutory rape. 16 days after Trina gave birth, both she and Alice fled to Trina's parents' house. According to court documents, McElroy tracked them down and brought them back, later returning to Trina's parents' house when they were away and shot their dog and set their house on fire. Trina would later claim that the fire was due to, quote, faulty wiring, and that McElroy treated them, quote, well. Alice was quoted as saying, quote, Ken was totally different from the way they are saying he is now. Oh, he was wild, but he wasn't guilty of all those things they say. He was honest and generous. I never knew him to steal anything, ever. Okay, so, all right, so.
So manipulative, abusive, a sexual predator.
There's just so many things to say. Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
He's raping children. Mm-hmm. He's preferring them the ages 12 to 14. Yeah. He's marrying them to get them to shut up, basically, so he's not facing charges of statutory rape.
Yes.
And when they try to escape, he goes to the house that they're at, gets them, shoots the dog, and burns the house down.
Yes.
What
fucking asshole move for shooting the dog,
crazy.
Dude.
And not only that, he is so intimidating and so, basically Stockholm syndrome with these girls, is that they're saying, oh no, it was faulty wiring that burned down the house when they know damn well it wasn't. And that, oh, he was a generous man. He was kind. He was wild, but he didn't do any of these things. He never stole anything. These people are so brainwashed.
Well,
they're
abused so bad that they know that at some point in time they'll have to be back home alone with this guy. So you watch what you say.
Absolutely. And I mean, he rapes, he burns down houses, he shoots dogs, he steals, kids, dude. He's getting with kids. He's getting them pregnant at 14, having them drop out of school. Then he's brainwashing the shit out of them, raping them multiple times, beating them, doing all this shit. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion.
So I would say that guy's a fucking animal. Or was. He was a fucking animal.
And this is just the beginning of it, really. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how anybody can just look the other way, especially with law enforcement. I understand where this guy is, him being very intimidating, being a scary, burly fucking dude who, gets off every single time he's arrested. But why aren't they following him around 24/7? Why aren't they putting a police presence everywhere he goes?
To me, I guess maybe the cop was a better man than I was, because one night I would just probably pick this guy up coming out of the bar saying you're a little too drunk to go home on your own, and he would have never made it home. Yeah. I mean, big, he had 900 acres or whatever he had.
Yeah, very large plot of land.
Yeah, a lot of places to put people.
Absolutely.
That's a big hole to dig. You need a fucking backhoe. Just saying, people. I'm not, just saying that he's already pushed his luck with me. Just by reading that, I couldn't do it.
No, not at all.
No.
However, it was known that the county law officials were afraid of encountering McElroy, who was always heavily armed and unafraid of shooting cops. For over 2 decades, the people of Skidmore felt abandoned by the justice system that couldn't stop McElroy from further terrorizing them. Then on April 25th, 1980, in Ernest Bo Bowenkamp's general store, the store's clerk, Evelyn Sumi, asked McElroy's 8-year-old daughter, Tanya, to return a piece of candy that she did not pay for. When McElroy learned of the incident, he became so furious that he began stalking the Bowenkamp family, leading to an altercation on July 8th, 1980. McElroy drove into the alley next to the general store, and taking out his shotgun, he threatened Bo Bowenkamp and shot the grocer in the neck at close range. This is the second time McElroy had shot somebody. Luckily, Bo Bowenkamp survived, and McElroy was arrested and charged with attempted murder. So now we have a guy who has shot 2 people on 2 separate incidents. He is now being arrested and charged with attempted murder.
With a premeditated.
Definitely
premeditated attempted murder. I mean,
And it kind of just shows you where this guy's mindset is. His 8-year-old daughter's in a general store stealing something, gets caught and asked to put it back. Not punished, not called the cops on or anything. They just say...
And he takes it as a slight, a disrespect
absolutely
to him.
And he gets furious.
And I don't believe this goes back to the steel beam hitting him in the head. I think this guy was a sociopath, maybe whatever... psychopathic tendencies from a young age.
And he saw it maybe as disrespect to him and his family.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's old school, illiterate. He was 8th grade. He was like, you don't dare accuse my 8th grade or my 8-year-old daughter of taking a piece of candy.
Right.
And his reaction to it is to go shoot somebody.
Yes. Not even the person who asked her to put the candy back,
shoots
but the owner
husband.
of the store.
Yeah. Shoots the husband or the owner of the store, right?
Right.
Parks in the alley, waits till he comes out, and just shoots him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the balls you got to have to be able to do something like that.
So
I mean, that also shows the level of fear that he has, which is basically zero.
Yeah,
he doesn't fucking care. He knows
doesn't.
that nobody's going to do shit to him, and he's just going to do whatever the fuck he wants.
A town
to.
of 434 people, and pretty much everybody was afraid of him. Can you imagine having that kind of control over 400-something plus people in a town?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The trial was set to August 18th, 1980. Just like before, McElroy made attempts to intimidate the Bowenkamp family and supporters to keep them from testifying. He would drive up to the Bowenkamp's house at night in his pickup and just sit there, then wildly fire his gun at random intervals. McElroy was able to delay the trial for almost 5 months until June 25th, 1981. During that time, the acting prosecutor resigned and a young lawyer named David Baird assumed the case. He was a mere 3 years out of law school. Speculation loomed that McElroy had bullied the prosecutor to leave. Baird was able to accomplish what no other lawyer had been able to do in all of McElroy's criminal history. He convicted him of a crime. Granted, the conviction was only of second-degree assault, which he had lowered in order to secure a conviction. The jury still handed him down a maximum sentence of 2 years. The judge freed McElroy on a $40,000 bond pending the appeal. McElroy was quoted as saying at the trial, quote, "The jury convicted me and they gave me 2 years. But I'll tell you what, I'll never go to jail. I'll appeal and I'll get off. I've been fighting the law since I was 13 and I'm damn near 50. I've been arrested for over 53 felonies and this is the first one I've ever lost." So there's the answer to your question.
Yeah.
McElroy is intimidating not just the townsfolk, but people in positions of power. Yeah. It's speculated, but on good grounds that he forced the prosecutor to resign his position because he's like, fuck that, I ain't going to take this guy to jail.
And I'm looking at it this way. Now, this is 1981. You take it to this point in time now, and you attempt to intimidate a prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
The feds step in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just think that this all was kept quiet in this small town, and word didn't get out to any authority higher than what they had there.
Right.
And then for me, this is just me, but if you sat in my driveway to try and intimidate me and randomly fired off shots at night or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I'm just going to make a little sniper's nest up in my upstairs window, right? And you're not going to see it, and I'm probably going to finish the job right then and there.
Yeah.
Because, I just, me personally, I feel for these people. I don't understand. Maybe they're not a town of, they were just not a town of fighters or angry people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm surprised there's not some guy a Marine there who just got out. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It fought through World War II,
Nam,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Pull up in my driveway.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? But I think all of this just went in his favor.
Yes.
This scumbag's favor until.
So they roll in a young guy, only 3 years out of law school. What the hell have you done in 3 years? Well, he's getting promoted to DA because McElroy forced out.
He was
the
probably
original
ADA.
prosecutor.
He was probably an assistant at the time.
Working for him. And they're just like, you take this. Nobody else is going to take it.
And I get what he was doing, second degree assault to get the conviction, and I understand that part.
I would be pissed. If they downgraded from attempted murder. He shot the dude in the neck with a shotgun.
Yes.
If they downgraded that to, a simple assault, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
That you're only going to face 2 years.
And then they were able to give him the max 2 years, which we know back then, even now, you don't even do your 2 years.
Right.
Right.
And then what he said at the trial, saying, I am never going to go to jail.
Yep.
I've been charged 53 times and got away every single time.
I've been fighting the law since I was 13. Remember I said it's not the steel beam thing.
Yeah.
This guy's mentality has been of a criminal nature because of the large family, the impoverished part. I mean, whatever it may be, environment, to what did they say? Yeah, between environment and your upbringing.
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, nature versus nurture. I don't think any of it has to come down to the head injury or something like that.
No.
I think this guy was just...
I don't think... Well... It doesn't matter if it was nature or nurture.
No.
I mean, this guy's a piece of shit.
He's a bad seed from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Fucking bad seed.
Yeah.
Because if we were to go back and research the other 15 kids in the family,
Mm-hmm.
How many of them, maybe a couple got in some legal trouble, how many of them went on to terrorize the town and try to murder people? Don't
know.
Right.
Maybe it's just fighting for attention at number 15.
Well, I mean, I can imagine a family of 15. You get forgotten as a child in that shit.
Oh,
you just fucking run amok.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And
parents got to write your birthday on the wall because they forget it all the time.
Yeah, and your name, like,
You're only getting one present for Christmas, and it's a new shovel.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to do some fucking work on the farm.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, this guy, this is all leading up to what it is. But that statement alone, if you ask that prosecutor now, I wonder if they I'd have to see an interview with him. And he's still a prosecutor, has been doing this for 30 years. I bet you if you talk to him now, there's no chance in hell that he would do that for another case.
Mm-hmm.
Because by now he's grown the cojones to go, I'm not going to, no. I've seen scumbags come through my courtroom all day long. You're getting attempted murder.
Exactly. Soon after his release, McElroy was spotted at the D&G Tavern with a rifle and a bayonet, where he was making graphic threats about murdering Bo Bowenkamp. He was again arrested, but quickly released. The only consequence was that his hearing was moved to July 20th, 1981 for violating his bail provision. During this time, there was a town hall meeting down the street at the Legion Hall where over 60 residents were attending, including the mayor and the sheriff. The only purpose of the meeting was to discuss what they could do to keep McElroy from harming anyone else. Sheriff Dan Esty suggested the formation of a neighborhood watch. However, the overall demeanor of the townsfolk was summed up by one attendee as, quote, "We simply felt that the system had failed us. We all knew what McElroy was like, and there he was again and again. It seemed like nobody could stop him," end quote. During this meeting, it was leaked that McElroy and Trina were headed to the tavern in Skidmore to grab drinks. The meeting adjourned, and the crowd of about 60 people quietly descended on the tavern to wait for them. When McElroy and Trina returned to their truck, Trina claimed to have seen somebody raise a rifle, aim it at McElroy, and fire. McElroy was shot twice in the head and was killed. After the gunfire, one resident opened up the passenger door and scooped up Trina, taking her inside away from the scene. Bullet casings from 2 separate guns were found. Most notably, though, none of the witnesses called an ambulance. The only person that was ever considered a suspect was a man by the name of Del Clement.
And as the Joker would say, you get what you fucking deserve.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it all came to a head. At the end of the day, what this was a man who was a piece of shit. Overall, he was a piece of shit. But he was a guy that was he was a looming presence over this town. It was a giant dark cloud that they just couldn't get rid of no matter how hard they tried. The justice system failed him. They never convicted him, only but once, and that was on the last one.
And they had still not completed that process.
Yeah, he was
they
were still on the.
They still had it.
Yeah, he never saw behind bars. This guy never sat behind bars. He got away with rape. He got away with shooting 2 people on
arson.
2 different. He got away with arson. He got away with animal
Shooting
cruelty.
dogs.
Yeah, animal cruelty.
Mm-hmm.
He got away with child abuse.
Yep.
He got away with theft. He got away with all this shit, and the town had just given up.
Yeah.
They're saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We're taking this into our hands. It's over. So when they're having this meeting, just picture yourself at this meeting.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
You have the mayor and the sheriff
Yes.
up on stage, and they're saying, oh, what can we do? And people look at it. You're the 2 fucking people that should be doing something. Why is it on us to do something?
Well,
you guys are the system.
The local sheriff, the one sheriff probably for that county,
yeah,
right, goes, you should get a neighborhood watch program. For what? So we can call and report every time he sits in a driveway and shoots off a rifle.
And
then
cops won't come because they already said they're afraid to approach him.
Yeah,
because
and there's only one of you probably, unless you bring outside sheriffs from another county.
Right.
Okay?
And how long is it going to take them to get there?
Yeah, and then from what I had read on another time is the officer was quoted as saying, vigilantism is not the way to go about this. During that, and no one had mentioned that. They just said that you had failed us.
It's like, no vigilantism. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, right?
Yeah.
And so then they adjourned the meeting, and the sheriff left the town.
Yeah.
And these 60 people, they say, quietly approached, just walked down to this tavern.
Yep.
Okay. And waited patiently. So everything in this is premeditated.
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
I get this, and that's why the FBI and everybody came in and got involved. This was a premeditated murder. So now I'm looking at there's 2 casings from 2 different rifles. So I don't know if Clement had a brother, the guy that was or never charged. Did he have a brother, or were they smart enough to say we used 2 shooters, right, with 2 different weapons? Because back then you could buy a gun could buy a gun off of somebody in a field out there like you could.
Oh
here.
yeah. But I don't think there was any coordination to this. I think they all got together. When word started going around, they're at the meeting. Word started going, hey. He's down at the tavern right now with his wife.
Was their intention when they go down there? Were they going to?
Oh no, they knew something was going to happen. I don't know. The 2 people who ended up shooting him and killing him, I think they absolutely had that implanted in their head.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the town, it was almost like a silent communication to each. Everybody knew something was going to happen.
This man wasn't going home.
Yes.
Right.
That this is the end of the line right here.
And
we're going to go. And we're going to
catch him was in the truck, because pulling an assault rifle with a bayonet in a small truck is bullshit. It's hard. It's extremely hard to do that.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, whoever replaces it. So maybe they really thought it through, and they said we're going to catch him off guard.
But 60 people, 60 people thought it through. I don't think so. I think word started spreading. Oh, this guy's over here. Hey, let's go. Or the guys who actually shot it was like, hey.
Well, it sounded like everybody that was at the meeting, got up and said, we're going to go. And nobody, and it wasn't anybody said, I don't want any part of this or none of that.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, let's go see what happens. Let's go approach this guy.
Or maybe somebody intimidated that group too and said, we're going to do this. This ends now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're all in this together. This ends now. Do you want this person to walk the streets? It's very possible. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's hard to say unless you were there. And of course, the witnesses aren't talking. Then maybe after the sheriff left, someone got up on stage and said, you know what? This ends now. And if we look, maybe Clement has prior military experience, anything like that. Yeah. Because for someone to just fire a gun and kill a person is not easy. No. Okay. It's a lot of people will say, well, it's not easy. Okay. Gangbangers miss all the time because they shoot like dumbasses, right? Yeah. Okay. And you back a mother into the corner and to protect her children, she'll kill you. Probably. Oh, yeah. Okay. But just to be at a meeting and go, he's down at the bar, this ends now. Yeah. Okay. So to me, that thought's already been made up in your mind. That person.
So, allegedly, Clement was never charged. Yep, he was never charged. They never got anything on him. He was just the only suspect considered in the case. And even he was like, nope, didn't do it. Didn't see who did it. Oh, well. But hypothetically, if it was him, he went in, I think as soon as that word got around, he got it into his head like that. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. Nobody else is going to do anything. Well, I'm going to be the one to do it.
Maybe leaving the meeting and being told to get a neighborhood watch group, he was like, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. I think most people were.
Yeah, why are you guys not wearing clown makeup? Because this is a fucking clown show right now.
Exactly.
Right? And then he went out there with that and along the way grabbed it from his weapon from his vehicle, right? And someone else did because there was 2 casings from 2 different weapons.
People saw it and maybe those guys started walking there like, let's go.
Let's go. And that's the mob mentality. That's a mob mentality.
This is 100% mob mentality.
And
mob vigilantism.
Exactly.
Is really what
this is not unheard of in this country. Unfortunately, it happened many decades before this. Jim Crow law.
Well, you can also say just that. Look at the riots. Baltimore riots, the LA riots. That's all mob mentality.
Oh, it was mob mentality. Yeah, nobody knew what the fuck they were rioting. Well, some did, but the rest were out stealing couches and fucking whatever. Yeah. Okay, but these people just said, we're going to put an end to this. And nobody had to verbally probably say, you know what? We're going to do this, and we're all going to promise that we never speak of this. It was just one of those unspoken things. This is going to end now because the sheriff didn't come in and do ballistics on the weapon, ask everybody to turn in their guns, right? None of that stuff. They just came in and said,
here's a really shitty idea, but don't do anything else.
Well, they probably pulled up at the crime scene, looked and saw who it was. Probably when they heard that there was a shooting in town and said, shit. Yeah. The guy probably shot Bowenkamp, the owner or whatever, right? And got there and saw it was him, and they're like, oh.
Well, the other indicator, too, is that it was mob mentality, and they didn't fucking care who it was. Not only was the silence that nobody said anything, it's that they didn't even call an ambulance. Not a single person picked up the phone and called 911. No. They all knew he was going to die. They all knew he was dying, and he was killed, and nobody cared. That was the solidarity behind this group of people.
The only way is when they scooped up the wife and took her out of the vehicle.
That wasn't so much as geared towards McElroy. That was more geared towards they felt bad.
That's what I'm saying. That was compassion. Yeah. Because more than likely she's not the one She didn't run around town shooting people. She didn't run around.
I mean, they shot him basically point blank from the back of a truck. I mean, that's what, 6 foot wide bed or whatever.
Right? Yep. And if it's
they
a
could have
rifle,
easily killed her if they wanted to, but they weren't mad at her. She didn't do anything.
No, they could have just
she was the
opened
victim.
up fire on the cab of the truck and just killed both.
She was a victim in this whole.
And that's why I'm wondering whoever fired, because there was a couple rounds fired. There was only 2 rounds fired, right?
Right.
And both rounds hit. It's a pretty good shot.
Well, no, they said multiple casings were found, but from 2 different weapons.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
I don't know. I didn't see how many.
For some reason, I picture
rounds
in
were actually
1981.
fired.
I'm picturing an ex-Marine with an old Browning M1 that he kept from Nam or World War II.
Bolt action,
but the fucking thing is accurate. You know what I mean?
No, it sounds like they walked up, raised their gun, and bam, bam. Probably just emptied the magazine.
And we'll never know. Maybe there was no confrontation. There was he didn't even get a chance to roll his window down and say "fuck all y'all."
No,
none of that. Maybe they just walked up and I guess he makes.
Well, they walked up from the back of the truck.
Yes.
So he didn't even see him coming. He didn't have a chance to see him
I think it would have been better for. Yeah. Well, I mean, you risk having them see you coming because then he could pull another weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
But to see the look on his face and maybe when he realizes fuck. But does somebody like that even give a shit? No.
No. So let's dig down to some like the morality behind this. So after hearing all the facts here, was it excusable what they did?
It was justifiable.
It was justifiable.
I'll say it was justifiable.
But was it morally excusable? Was it in their? Obviously, it was in their best interest.
Morality is a gray area.
But it is.
It's an extremely gray area.
Because you can kind of look at it from both ways. That murder, no matter what level it's on, is always wrong, no matter what. We always have to preserve life. However, if you look on the other side of it, is they didn't have another choice.
Right.
This guy it's almost like Joker, putting him in the Arkham Asylum. He's always going to fucking break out. He's always going to kill more people. He's always going to cause more mayhem.
Made sure he never killed him.
Batman never kills him.
Right.
So it's the morality behind that. So morally speaking, it's really a tough line to walk, because if you say that it's okay, then you can say that any mob mentality is okay as well, because everybody is focused on one thing and they don't feel, especially when it comes to something like that, they don't feel they have another option.
That's generalizing.
It's very
We're
generalized.
talking about this one specific case.
This one specific, yes. I would say yes. I would say it is morally excusable what they did. And I think it was just as excusable that nobody said anything, that they're keeping this silent, that they're keeping their solidarity behind who actually did it, because they all know. They were all there. They all witnessed it.
And I watched more of it, and it, like I said, it is tearing this town apart. Mm-hmm. These people are now in their 60s, some 70s, you know what I mean? Right. And they're holding on to, they may never have harmed anybody or an animal. Mm-hmm. And one of them took somebody's life. And it's not an easy thing to do if you've been in combat or you do things that you're getting paid to do a job, basically, in that sense. Okay.
Right.
But these people did what they did. And I think it's, in this case, just with the facts that I've seen of it, I think that they protected their town.
Yeah.
I would have to say they protected their town because law enforcement failed them. The law failed them. The prosecutors failed them. The judge, everybody failed them.
And they were threatened.
And they were threatened with
every day bodily harm, with being shot, with being killed by this guy. Yep. Just everything.
All you had to do was cross the street the wrong day on this guy.
Yeah. Or tell his daughter to put a piece of candy back.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the wrong side of a gun.
And I'm, me personally, you know me, I don't like bullies.
No.
I don't like people who, big, small, whatever fucking size you are, I don't like bullies. Mm-hmm. And if I see it happening with somebody, I got no problem. If it's not even my conversation to go in and get involved in it. Yeah. But because I think people who try to instill fear and everything on people like that, they're cowards. And I think and nothing ever, they don't talk about any like rampant drug abuse or alcohol abuse. This guy was just a fucking asshole.
Well, as that one guy had said, is that he set out to be feared.
Yep.
He set out to be intimidating.
Yep.
So obviously there's underlying issues right off the bat but that's a whole different discussion.
Maybe he was the forgotten child, never mounted anything.
Whatever it may be, but he fed, this guy, just like all of us, we have a choice. We can be good or we can be bad.
Yeah.
And this guy he embodied what you would consider a bully.
He embodied evil.
Yeah, I mean, this guy.
It goes beyond to me just being a bully. This guy, sometimes being a bully is just talking a lot of shit, and making somebody feel bad about themselves, and then they go away. This guy physically harmed.
He fed on their fear.
He fed on their fear.
Absolutely,
exactly.
And that's what kept him going.
But he wasn't smart enough to realize that at some point in time in his life, you're going to cross
Everybody has a limit,
and there's always somebody bigger and badder who is willing to go that extra.
To get you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you get what I mean? And I was going to reference a little Jack Reacher there because as a character in one of my favorite books, that's the kind of person that comes along and goes, "Oh, you big bad boy in this town?"
Yeah.
And then you disappear. Okay, but I'm just saying that morality is a gray area. I would say in this situation, I would have to agree with their actions.
And I agree too. But let's kick that back to our listeners. What do you guys think? Was it okay what this town did in keeping with their solidarity with the two guys who took the law into their own hands and murdered? It is still murder, but they
cold-blooded, premeditated murder.
Absolutely. But they got rid of this threat to the town, with murder, unfortunately. So what do you guys think? Is it morally reprehensible, or is it okay what this town did? Keeping this town hostage.
Yeah, email us and let us know. Or message us on Facebook, Twitter, all those things. Do you believe that there was another route that could have been taken?
Yes. And if you have a different theory outside of what happened, if it's some kind of crazy conspiracy theorist that it was the FBI or some bullshit, we want to know that too. So get back to us. Let us know. Send us an email, podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com. You can also send us a message through our website, www.adultingproductions.com. You can also reach us on Facebook and Twitter and, all that bullshit. We always ramble off, but we do want to hear back from you on this one. This is a very interesting case. It takes a crazy turn. It's about a piece of shit person. And, we want to know what the general consensus is on this guy. The events that transpired in Skidmore, Missouri resulted in the murder of the town bully, Ken Rex McElroy. Although he was killed in broad daylight in front of 60 witnesses, the town remained silent. To this day, not a single person has ever been arrested for the crime. Maybe one day a witness will come forward or new evidence will surface, but until then, the case will remain unsolved.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic had an adverse impact on your business?
Are you ready to see customers walk back through your doors?
Here at Adulting It's Hard Productions, we understand that times are tough, and you may be struggling to keep your business afloat, and that's where we come in.
For a limited time, we are offering production services at an exceptionally discounted price. Go to www.adultingproductions.com to learn about our services and how we can help boost your brand and rebuild your client base.
Using our state-of-the-art equipment and software, we tailor your company's message and your advertising package to meet your needs. We handle the entire process from production to airing with absolute transparency.
Contact us today for your free no-obligation consultation and see why so many others have turned to Adulting is Hard Productions for their advertising needs. Simply go to www.adultingproductions.com and get your business back on track today.
Adulting is hard, and we're here to make it a little easier. And with us, possibilities are endless.
All right, guys, welcome back. Hope you had enough time to get anything done that you needed to do.
Snacks.
I know nobody's leaving their house, so you didn't have to go get a pizza or anything. Make maybe some pizza rolls in the oven.
Oh yeah, pizza rolls, snacks. Wash your hands. Just wash your hands.
Just make sure you always wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
You don't need to wear gloves.
Or
too many people driving around with masks on. Darwinism at its finest.
Oh, you heard real quick. A guy had an accident. He passed out because he was wearing like 3 of them, and he was driving, and they realized that he was lack of oxygen, and he got in an auto accident. So masks are not safe.
Make sure you're not doing that. Alrighty, guys, we are happy to have on the line with us a very special guest, Kirk McCarley. He is an ESPN statistician who works on a lot of major sports and stuff, and we are super honored to have you on the line. Kirk, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Colin, Ken.
Great. Hey, so Kirk, we know what you do, but
kind of,
yeah. We'll get into it. But,
I'm really interested in this.
For our audience, do you want to just explain, who you are, a little introduction about who you are, and what you do, and how you got into it?
Well, my name is, you've alluded to, Kirk McCarley. I actually have four different things that I'm involved in, ESPN being one of them. I'm a life and career coach. I'm also a spinning instructor, group cycling, and I do writing for a local paper here in Northwest Florida. But I think what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today is ESPN and specifically what a talent statistician is and what they do. So to kind of set that up, a broadcast of a football game on either radio or television, basically what the viewer listener at home is exposed to is the play-by-play announcer, the color analyst, and perhaps an on-field reporter. But behind the scenes, where it's in television, you have a myriad of production people, engineers, graphic people that are involved in presenting the graphics, what we used to call fonts, to the person that's viewing at home, sound engineers, camera people, folks such as that. That's pretty transparent to the public. What you're going to be doing is listening to what the analyst and play-by-play announcer have to say. Mm-hmm. They have immediate staff that support them. So when you hear a Joe Buck who's on a competing network, or Steve Levy, Chris Fowler, who work on our network, they'll say something after the completion of a forward pass. Let's say that pass was completed for 20 yards to whoever the receiver may be. They have a talent statistician who's sitting next to them. That can be any number of people, including myself, who are holding up information so that they're able to give accurate data to the listener or the viewer at home. Throughout the course of the broadcast, they'll also extract special statistics, which are things to the nature of Smith, the quarterback, has hit 7 of his last passes for 90 yards, including 2 touchdowns. He started off 1 for 6. So he's now 8 for 13 for 61.5% with those 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. They're getting that information from a talent statistician. So that is a very high-level look at what a role like mine encompasses.
So your job basically is to make Chris Collinsworth sound smart.
So here's a guy. Right.
Exactly.
And that makes sense because, we've been watching football, forever. And I've never once thought about your position or a gentleman sitting next to them going that he would start out 1 for 6. Now he's 5 for the last 5 with an average of whatever. I think I was giving too much credit for the guys in the booth, knowing that off the top of their head.
I don't think the average viewer really considers that, who are all these people pulling this information? Because they have it, it's like right now, they're always having that information. Guy makes a sack and all of a sudden they have his stats from the last 4 years. How do you get that? So that's your job, is to give those announcers that information.
Yeah, and to use it metaphorically, the aura that we're trying to establish is not too unlike the 3 of us that are engaged in conversation right now. It's 3 guys that are sitting around a coffee table shooting the breeze, except I'm the silent partner. And to enhance the conversation you 2 guys have, I would be slipping you notes. Ask him this, talk about that, bring this up, to enhance the conversation such that if other people are listening, they're listening to Ken and Kyle and saying, this is a very interesting conversation. I want to find out more about that.
I got you. So other than the statistics, you're feeding them lead-in questions or information to kind of keep the flow of the booth conversation going.
it's a read for where they may be going in a conversation, Ken, such that the talent broadcaster tosses it to the color analyst, and he brings up a point. I'm listening, to which I'm picking up on that conversation, and I'll maybe hand a card over to the talent broadcaster, which further elaborates or enhances that topic they've just been talking about, such as, oh, and by the way, besides his master's degree that he has, that he's playing as a graduate player, he also had a 3.8 GPA as an undergraduate.
I gotcha.
That's such a cool job.
That is, yeah. Actually,
really cool
that
job.
changes now. How when I watch a game, that's going to change exactly
Yeah.
how I see the booth. Chris Collinsworth slides in. Now here's a guy, and then I'm assuming that there's no gentleman over here going, "Here you go, Chris." Right? I give him a hard time at Joe Buck and those guys. But now, what was the next one? We were talking more about prep, I guess. Like,
yeah. So, first, I just wanted to ask, like, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like something that you go to school for, and you're like, I'm going to become
you like
the
math.
silent partner on a sports cast and that kind of. So, how did you get involved with it? How did this career come about?
That's a good question, and hopefully it's an interesting story. When I was a young kid sitting on my pappy's lap, but probably 10, 11 years old, I developed an interest in sports. I've always had a mathematical mind, so as Ken alluded to, there's a connection with that. But I grew up in a long time ago in the 60s when I was that 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, pre-calculator days. And I would have interest in especially baseball games. And the box scores at that time would just list Willie Mays went 1 for 4 last night, but they didn't update his current statistics. That is, he was 7 for 14 coming in, and he went 1 for 4. That makes him 8 for 18 now. What is his batting average? And I would do long division at the time, but because I had a mathematical inclination, I started to memorize those numbers, and 8 for 18, it's 444. Okay. And even got to the point where in his next at bat, if he goes hitless, he drops to 8 for 19. He's going to be hitting 421. If he gets a hit and he's 9 for 19, he's going to jump up to 474. And further extrapolated that. So it kind of became a gift. Fast forward, TI calculators were the first that were invented. And so later on, I played sports, got into college, and put in a plug for University of North Texas. But one of my roommates in college was a broadcast communications major. And so he, myself, a couple of other people were the guys that would sit around watching sports on TV and evaluating Kurt Gaddy at the time and Frank Gleber and Keith Jackson and these legends of the broadcasting industry as to what they said, how they said it. And I was always the person that was in there saying, oh, he got a hit. He's down to he's up to 327 now. And so that kind of became my role in the conversation. That announcer went on to become the youngest play-by-play announcer in NBA history when he became the first announcer for the Dallas Mavericks as an expansion franchise. I guess that was in about 1981. 1988, 89, he moved to San Antonio. There was a company still around called Raycom that was broadcasting Southwest Conference football when it existed. And he asked me at that time, would I be interested in being a statistician for television broadcast? So I signed on to that. We did Southwest Conference football until its demise in 1995, and schools blended into various other conferences. We moved to ESPN in 1996, and at that time they launched a little network called ESPN2 to which we became the A broadcast crew for those broadcasts. We did that for a number of years, transitioned to radio with ESPN in 2007. He moved on a couple of years after that to do play-by-play for the Texas Rangers. I stayed with ESPN, moved to another crew, and I've been doing that with the Bristol company ever since. So that's a kind of a high-level look at my history, how I got involved in it, and what my skill set was.
So it's almost like you were fated to get into this job.
Right, yeah. I mean
tracking it. I mean, I remember my dad telling me back in the days before all the computers and everything did it for you, playing fantasy football and having to pull up the numbers in the newspaper from the Sunday games and tracking everything. Okay, he had a touchdown. How many touchdowns they get me? This many points. So it was like long form for following your stats on your fantasy.
Remember how hard it was to keep a score at a bowling alley before they computerized it? I'm just going to say that right now.
and for a person like me, they've ruined it now. It's too easy.
It's too easy. Okay, so you're like, yeah, we just sit there and be like, yeah, it looks like I'm winning. I don't know. But
check my phone every 15 minutes.
So you've done both TV and then also radio.
I have.
Okay, now, would you say did you enjoy one more than the other? I mean, I've always grown up. We used to have the Wide World of Sports, so we used to get to watch World Championship boxing on Saturday nights, but then color commentary and listening to football games and stuff on the radio. It was a different aspect to it. You imagined it more.
I go with where I'll give a first answer and then my second one. I always look to where the man is, and the man butters my bread. Okay. So if the call is to work TV, I'm delighted. If it's to work radio, I'm just as excited. Okay. Having said that, I will say this about radio. For what I do, more creativity is required because you can't see it. And you'll note that in the way the broadcasters communicate the game. Right. The Alabama Crimson Tide are lined up, of course, in their traditional crimson jerseys with white lettering, cream pants, and red piping down the pant legs. TV, you won't hear that because the viewer can see it. So there's more creativity. There's more of, I would say, building a storyline from what I do to create that interest in the person that's listening. And that's a lot of fun. But in TV, there are certain other mechanics to think about. When are they going to go on camera? The play-by-play and the analyst. When do I need to move or reposition myself for that? Considerations along those lines. And you're also communicating with the broadcast truck down there where they're looking for a particular pattern that they want to build a story about. In basketball, for instance, what is Duke's scoring run right now? They're 8-1 over Louisville over the last 1 minute and 53 seconds. So they can get that on the scroll.
On the screen and then,
Correct.
I got you. So it all happens pretty quick then. You're on the ball fairly quick for statistics, things that feed them, not just filler, but things that people want to see and know. And then maybe a little filler once in a while.
Absolutely. For basketball, 2 hours. For football, 3.5 hours of the most intense and focused time that I ever spend.
I got you. Okay. I think baseball guy was at 6 hours a game now.
And that's a defensive battle.
Yeah, there you go.
So what sports do you cover and at what levels? Are you only college or do you do professional as well?
I am I'm football and basketball, primarily college, but I do sneak into a little bit of NFL. I did a Titans game back in December when we used to have sports.
Okay. That's pretty sweet. So have you worked with some of the bigger name announcers like Chris Collinsworth and Joe Buck and all them?
Well, I've worked with, this is going back in the day, Ron Franklin when he used to be primarily in ESPN. Probably the most recognized name is Mike Tirico.
Mm-hmm.
I've had an opportunity when he was early in his career to work with Joe Tessitore. So those are a few of the names that the listeners may be familiar with.
Yeah, I remember leaving the ESPN on all day. Back when just leave it on all day, and it would just it's going to repeat the same stuff over and over, but until the next live game that night, or it would always be on the background on the TV. And by the end of the show, I kind of miss that part of it, and but I haven't had cable TV so long. It's like you know what I mean. Unfortunately.
So when it comes to game day, what does your prep look like? Like, from the time you wake up, or I mean, even if it's the day before, doing the research and getting the stats ready. What is like that game day, and then during the game, what does that look like to you for your job?
It's become much easier than it used to be, just because of the data that is available, and it's not available through mail or fax, which used to be the case 30 years ago. It's online, and the various sports information departments in colleges and even professional will have that data out by early in the week preceding a game. It becomes a little bit trickier if it's going to be a Thursday broadcast, but for Saturday, the information typically available no later than Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, preceding the event. And there are dedicated websites for people in the media oftentimes to go and get that information. The SIDs, sports information directors, will not only include that as far as background for the upcoming games, statistical information, which I'm very interested in, but they'll send newspaper clippings from local papers, local media, as well as nationals, such as USA Today, various online media. So typically for me, Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, usually Wednesday, I will devote 2 to 3 hours of an afternoon or an evening to study information, learn about trends and tendencies if I don't know it already, and that's especially early in the season, or if I'm working in a group of 5 conference such as Mid-American, American Athletic, Conference USA, something like that. I'll go and study those things, look at the statistical information, and then I've got instruments that I use that I'm going to be getting my information off of to feed to the play-by-play announcer and color analyst during the course of the game. So I'll list quarterbacks, skill players, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, since that's going to be most of the statistical data, place kickers, punters, return specialists, and I'll also look at trends and tendencies that are maybe micro-statistical from a team standpoint, such as what are they converting on third downs, but not just that, but what is their average need on a third down? Because a lot of times you say, boy, Texas is 6 of 7 on third down conversions. Well, their average need may be 1.5 yards.
Or
that's
less.
Not a big, that's not a huge achievement. However, I'm also tracking what they're gaining on first down, and if they're averaging 8 yards an attempt on first downs, that's why. And so that will lead into a story by the talent announcers that they've got to focus on that pass that they're throwing over the middle on first down, and the defense has got to come up with a scheme to prevent that. It enhances and colors that story.
I got you. Okay. And then another thing, when you're going through all the information, do you pick out, say, key points, possible record-breaking moments that may happen in the game? You know, you got guys leading the league at, say, receiving yards that could set a rookie season record. I mean, those are probably things that you pre-pick just to have them ready. Moment happens, you know, you have that information ready.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. If a running back is about to move into 4th place on the all-time career rushing list at a particular school, we'll know that he needs 27 yards to get to that.
Gotcha.
And so as soon as he attains that, I'll give a card to the talent announcer. He got it, which the talent announcer has already done his prep work and may have that stored in his head anyway. But that's to help him.
That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right.
So, the big news story out there right now is the only thing anybody's talking about is, the coronavirus. And obviously this has had a huge impact on the sports world. ESPN is just putting on like the Korean Baseball League. They just started airing this week.
Watching
they
more
keep bringing
fishing.
back ESPN 8, the Ocho. People are
The Ocho.
dying. Yeah, no, that's what it's
I know.
called. They just have like lawnmower racing and marble racing and
Yeah.
all kinds of weird stuff, dodgeball.
If I could bet on it, I'll
people
watch
are
it.
chomping at the bit to get sports back. They're willing to watch anything at this point. So is the sports world right now, are they optimistic about bringing sports back, relatively soon, or are we looking more long-term before, normalcy is returned? Are we looking at
Next year, basically?
Future, are we looking at, the rest of the year where fanless games, or are we looking, half full with social distancing measures going into place in the stadiums?
Kyle, I think it's the pundits are as optimistic or pessimistic as they are about anything or were about anything 4 or 5 months ago before COVID. Mm-hmm. And you and I read the same things. We hear the same chatter. I maybe have a little bit more in-depth information. I'm a member of the Football Writers of America Association, so I get insider information, so to speak, about that. And depending on who's doing the story, there are as many different ways to slice those deviations as you can potentially come up with. For college football, for instance, we've probably read about flipping the season into the springtime. I saw a model the other day about moving basketball into the fall and football into the spring. But there are other decision trees that come out of that. How does that impact the respective drafts or the professional programs? What do you do about the Minnesota at Wisconsin contest in Madison in the middle of February? All kinds, and as Ken brought up, the fans. How are we going to incorporate them into the game, maintaining social distancing, and on top of that, maintaining that during the normal flu season, which is potentially going to further impact that situation. So I think we'll maybe get a little bit of a laboratory easing into it in the not too distant future with golf, which is a sport that's by its very nature can play under social distancing. And maybe get our feet a little bit damp on that. Baseball would be the next one potentially that comes up, but even that is much more complicated in golf. Are you going to sentence all the teams to Arizona and or Florida? Are you going to divide the 30 MLB teams into 3 divisions and they'll just travel amongst those divisions, or people in the Central Division will play all their games in the new Dome Stadium in Arlington, Texas? A lot of models being bandied about, and no one's really got an elegant solution just because we don't know what the course of COVID is going to be taking, not just a month from now, but a week from now.
Yeah, and I've been wondering if it's maybe just best hands off and let's wait. Possible second wave, whatever it may be, instead of forcing something. To me, a basketball game or a baseball game with no fans in the stadium is just really weird. I could imagine being a professional level player. You get pumped.
The players feed off the
you feed off of the crowd, and then you go out. Your intro music's played, and there's just a guy, the janitor, up at the top stairs, just squeaking a barrel by, right? And that's your crowd. So I almost say, do we just wait, and then if we get the green light, instead of seeing maybe a trickle effect of people returning, you kind of see the stadiums fill back up, and but you've got to convince the people that it's safe. I think it's going to take time for that, but I almost don't want to see for one season, like you said, three cities for baseball or basketball being played without fans, and I'd almost rather wait. These are organizations that aren't going to go bankrupt if they take a season off. They've had strike seasons. They've dealt with stuff before. World War II, taking people away. So I think they can survive, and we can watch golf, fishing, whatever, for now.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty out there on how sports is going to proceed and everything. But I think one thing that everybody can agree on is this is definitely going to have a lasting effect on everything, including how sports works.
Yeah. There will be. You're right. There's no way to we can't predict this. I just don't want to see them force the hand. And we've talked about this. We tell everybody it's safe to go out, and then all of a sudden it happens again. We tell everybody to go home. They're not going to do that. People are going to be like, I've done this once before. I'm not going to just sit in the house. So you got to take it casual. But, we'll see where it goes, though.
So, on kind of lockstep with that, Kirk, what do you think the first major sport will be that comes back into play? And, do you think the NBA and the NHL are going to finish their seasons? Or are they just going to call it quits and wait for next season?
The NBA and the NHL, and I'm going to lump Major League Baseball into that as well, because in a normal season, they would already be 35 games into the schedule by then. So we're almost to the point of a quarter of that season is lost, and it will be because to reamp it, you're going to have to go back to a spring training of some kind. So the best that could be salvaged, it seemed like to me, if we're going to have a season that ends in November at the latest, is going to be a 100-game schedule. But as far as the NBA and the NHL are concerned, it's a lot like, I think, football, except on a more accelerated scale. I don't know what that index is as a statistician, which is kind of funny to say, but each day that passes, the likelihood becomes slimmer, keeping in mind that both of those sports, if they're on a normal schedule, are going to be breaking by mid-September to go into their training for the upcoming seasons. That is only 4 months away now. And so how are you going to compact and compress that? And we already argue that both those sports going into early to mid-June last too long as it is. So some considerations that have to be taken into that, certainly.
Yeah, maybe logistically just don't force it, and we'll just see how it plays out. I'd rather get a top-tier product is how I look at it. You go to a baseball game, get a warm beer, a cold hot dog, and it's the experience of it. I think I'd rather wait for a top-tier product, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in the case examples I can think of, 1994, we had a aborted baseball season because of the strike, and so there's an asterisk next to that. World War II era, people would argue the skill level was dumbed down considerably. Not through any fault of the players that were there, but so many of the participants at that time were in service. The Olympic Games didn't take place in 1940 or 44 because of World War II. So there was a 12-year gap there. So those are models you have to consider and look at. I saw a picture earlier today. It showed a 1919 baseball game. I don't know the city it was being played in, besides all the attendees being male and in shirt and tie at least. They were all wearing masks in that era of the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu. Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you've obviously been around sports for a long time. You've gone to, I don't even know if you could count how many games you've been to. So everybody has that one sporting event or that one thing that happened you always remember. It was a great game, or it was a shootout or whatever. What is the most memorable sporting event that you have been to, either as a fan or working?
one thing that comes to mind, it was about 1996, 97. I was working a football game in Ann Arbor. Michigan was playing Woodson, eventual awards winner, was defensive back, and just the incredibility of him as an athlete, and a couple of interceptions that he picked off against Michigan State. It's like, wow. Same thing for Larry Fitzgerald when he was in college. What a performer. And he was almost like a ballet artist with his adeptness and what he could do and how he could catch a football. So some of those individual performances stick out. There are also off-field episodes that I'll remember. 20 years ago, I was working the Orange Bowl and had an opportunity to meet NFL legend Joe Namath.
Nice.
Oh,
And the thing that was most remarkable to me was the size of his hands. When I shook his hand, it felt like he had swallowed my entire arm up to the elbow.
Well, they measure that on prospects now.
Yeah,
they measure things like that.
Wingspan, height.
Because basketball players, most of those guys could, but that's crazy. Me and Joe Namath, that's awesome. With that, what was the other part? What is one of the worst moments, or least memorable?
Most memorable, but for the wrong reasons.
But for the wrong reason.
Well, a couple of things that come to mind, and since this is an adult show, I'll share the one, and then I'll go to the other, which is a little bit more family friendly. So we were working a game, it's been 15 years ago, in El Paso, Texas, University of Texas, El Paso. And the reason we were covering the minors is because they were hosting University of Texas. It's a television game. Second quarter, we faded to a commercial. Well, if you've ever been to the Sun Bowl in El Paso, it sits in a bowl. It's surrounded by bluffs and small mountains. It's desert. And so a cameraman who's astute happened to look on top of one of those bluffs and saw a young man and a young woman who were there and very close. And she was massaging him erogeously, frontally, and that gathered a lot of viewership from those of us in the crew during that time, and
everybody in the stadium pointing,
and we composed ourselves so that we were able to come back on air professionally. But that comes to mind, and that's something that you at home didn't have the opportunity to see. One that you did, also in Texas, this was probably 1989, 1990 when I was first getting started, Lubbock, Texas, Texas Tech University. And at that time, you still see a little bit of it now, when you would fade to a commercial break, you'd have a crowd shot. And what a family-friendly crowd shot this was of a young man with his daughter, 3 years old, and she, like any 3-year-old, was very, very happy to have that camera in front of her. And with unabandoned recklessness, we watched as her finger navigated itself to her nasal cavity as we faded to commercial. And over my headset, I could hear our production director going, 5, 4, 3. We can't get this off the air quick enough. And we didn't, because it inserted into the nasal cavity, and from that standpoint, directly into the mouth.
Into a taste testing, okay.
Into a taste test.
The goods.
Oh.
We broke for commercial, and without missing a beat, our color analyst opened back up. Welcome back to the play-by-play. Welcome back to Lubbock. To which he said, nobody can accuse us of not knowing how to pick them.
Nice save. That's awesome.
All right, so at the end of the interview, we like to ask. God, I can't talk right now. We like to ask a very irrelevant and off-topic question. So, one of the things that came across the news feed, I think it was last week, was that the Pentagon just confirmed that two UFO videos. I don't know.
They came out like a year ago are legitimate.
They're authentic.
Yeah.
And
perfect timing, right in the middle of a pandemic.
Have you seen that? And if you've seen it, do aliens exist and have they visited?
Well, it's certainly obvious to me that we can now blame those aliens for the pandemic.
We're going there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there you heard it.
Okay.
Heard it here first.
Okay.
Blame the aliens.
So, so you believe it? You think those? I mean, that you can't avoid it. I mean, you believe them? They're here.
As I think of when anybody talks about, particularly in this pandemic, people are going to be confined to an area. I always think, is it Area 3, Area 4, Area 51?
Right.
And I want to know more about that Area 51, as we all do.
Well, he's wearing a shirt
as you can see, I have a shirt on that
Storm
says
Area 51.
Area 51.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And if you ever traveling, we've done that trip a few times down there. I've stopped at the little alien that you see on TV. And the west gate of Area 51 is right there. There's really no gate. It's just a line in the sand, and you just don't cross it. And they're watching you up there, and it's just like on the TV shows. And they actually had a pretty good burger there. But most of the locals, you could tell, were under the influence of many whatever. But it's really cool. You can go by there, and you can go up to the west gate, as they call it, and check it out. But I want to advise stepping over. But yeah, I liked how they released the videos during the pandemic.
And it's
I tip my hat to anyone who can create a tourist attraction that doesn't exist.
Well, are you talking about like out there not being able to actually see anything? You're just
right. I was riding my bike across Iowa a few years ago and came to Johnny Carson's boyhood home, which was being renovated and turned into a museum. And there was a curator that was there, 80-something-year-old guy, and he pointed to a picture on the wall, and it was a young boy in a tree, and his comment was, we speculate that this was Johnny when he was about 4 or 5 years old. When he was a boy, he liked to get outside and climb trees. And I was like, wow.
That's not bad. We passed the tree that James Dean wrecked into.
Well, there you go.
They have it all fenced off, but now someone has sold the museum, and it's just a restaurant, and they've gone all the way away from it. But yeah, there's the tree that you could see that he hit. I guess if it's okay to take a picture next to the death tree, I suppose. And but when we saw Area 50, we got lost the first time. Actually, I went down, I took a wrong turn, and then it says extraterrestrial highway. I was like, oh, cool, and I tried to make it out like I meant to do that, but yeah. But we appreciate your time.
Yeah,
sir.
I do want to ask you one quick question before we let you go, Kurt. So I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan, die hard, and we just drafted Tua as our future, franchise quarterback. According to the stats, how is he looking? You think he'll do well?
I think he's a better bet at this point than Alex Smith. I'll put it that way. I saw the video of his rehab, and that is still a nasty, gnarly injury, even repaired almost 2 years later.
Well, it ended Bo Jackson's career.
It did end up in Bo Jackson's career as well. So, but he got a hip replacement and was semi-productive in baseball after that.
Yeah.
But,
so either it's going to be everyone's going to regret not taking Tua. He's going to light it up, or it could be, unfortunately, it could be
just another quarterback.
It could be a bust in a way.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Patrick Mahomes looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not a Dolphin.
Packers are winning I'm calling it right now. Packers winning the Super Bowl. Rodgers is mad about the Love.
Oh, give me a break. You don't have a receiver.
Yeah, and not a receiver.
But anyway, Kirk.
But thank you. We one more question though. You got for him? Where can they reach you?
Yeah. So, where can people find you, Kurt? I know you said you're on social media and you do other jobs with the spin class and with your life coaching. So, where can people reach out to you?
I have a life coaching and career coaching business. It's called The Seed Sower, and my website is theseedsowercoach.com. If you want to contact me directly, it would be Kirk, K-I-R-K, at The Seed Sower. Seed is in planting seeds. Sower, S-O-W-E-R, coach.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kurt.
Yes,
you gave us a lot of information, things we didn't know, especially regarding the industry where, sports.
I had zero idea.
Yeah, so that's really awesome. And I'm sure our viewers are going to love hearing all about that too. So I do appreciate you coming on the show, and maybe when sports gets taken back off again, we get some, major sports back on the TV, we'll have you back on, and
love to have you back.
We could discuss how that's all going.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. All right, guys, stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with some actually, we got some really good content coming up. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
To thank Kirk McCarley for joining us on the podcast. We learned quite a bit about sports statistics that we had no idea even existed. You can find Kirk on Facebook, LinkedIn, or by visiting his website at www.theseedsowercoach.com. All of Kirk's links will be in the description below. Don't go away. We still have more great content coming at you.
All right, guys, welcome back from the break. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kirk. That was some pretty interesting information that we got from him. A lot of things I never knew about it.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so make sure you go over to his pages and check them out. Also, we'll have those links in the description below. Now, for our final segment here, we have been honored to be granted the presence of Sam,
the local legend,
a.k.a. Bigdawg. Sam, say what's up.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, how you doing, Sam?
I am doing great, guys.
That's good. Appreciate you being here.
It is my pleasure. It truly is.
So, for those of you who don't know, or who may know, Sam, aka Bigdawg, is on Facebook, and what he does is it's some great shit. He's one of the good guys out there. In a time where everything is so bleak with this pandemic, people are depressed, people don't know what's going on. He's shining a little light in the world. I mean, he's the kind of guy who makes you feel good about humanity again, really.
Get you to smile.
So, Sam, for our listeners, who are you? Who are you exactly? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah. I always called Jerome home. Went from 6th grade on up through high school there. But then we moved around for a little bit afterwards. I've been back here in Twin for about 10 years. And now what I do is just my Facebook. I sold cars for the last 25 years and had some health issues. The doctor said, okay, time to take a break from working. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just focusing on doing the Facebook thing and getting it set up.
So is that how you got started when, you were describing to us earlier, and I know it's a little personal, but your health issues, is that where you really started to make that change and say, you know what, I want to do, I want to do some charitable work. I want to help out other people.
Actually, that was last year that I started doing that. It's just since March when the health issues hit, the doctor said I got stage 4 COPD with some emphysema back in it. Said there, about 10-11% lung function, and said, so don't go to work anymore. You got to find something else to do.
All right.
So I've really been focusing on doing this. I've always been enjoying doing what I do online. Started out with my boss. I got shorted on my paycheck one day, about $600.
Wow.
And I went to my boss.
Yeah.
Right? I went to my boss and I said, hey, boss, I need my money so that I can pay my bills and put gas in the car so I can make it to work. And his solution was to hand me a $50 gas card and say, wait until next payday.
That doesn't quite make up for it.
No.
No.
No. You can buy some snacks with a $50 gas card, I guess, at the station, but that doesn't really do anything.
No.
And so I kind of said some unsavory words and handed it back to him and went to my desk. And he walked by, threw it on my desk and said, you got to use it. And I looked at him and I was like, I won't.
Yeah.
And so I went on my Facebook page that I just created for my business stuff, the Bigdawg Marsh page, and I announced a giveaway. I said, in 1 week, I'm going to give away this $50 gas card. Who wants it? And I had like 100 entries into it.
Nice.
Wow.
And I only had like 200 people on my Facebook. I was like,
So
wow.
Right?
Half of them won it.
And so that's how I started doing the giveaways, just to piss my boss off.
I like that.
That's a good origin story.
That is, yeah. Some people go, I woke up and had an epiphany.
You're like,
I'm
nah,
gonna do something
fuck my
good
boss.
to them. Yeah, fuck that guy. I'll use your $50 gift card for sure.
Right?
Yeah, and it's gonna go to somebody else, and you're still gonna give me my money. Right?
Exactly.
So how did it evolve from there?
Well, I felt really awesome. It felt great to give something to somebody with no strings attached. And so the next month I bought a drone and did the same thing.
Okay.
And then after that, it was just, what can I do now to top last month without breaking my own personal bank?
Mm-hmm.
And so last year I gave away like 2-hour kayak rentals plus dinner for 2 to El Toro Mexican restaurant every month. And people would actually look forward to these giveaways because you don't have to do anything other than log on and sign in, add me, and, do what I tell you to do on the video.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
There's no cost. There's no hidden agendas. I didn't say you have to come buy anything or test drive cars. It was just my way of doing something so that I felt like I was giving back.
Yeah.
Then at Thanksgiving time, that's when I got the reality smack between the running lights. At Thanksgiving, I was talking with a buddy of mine that has a restaurant. I already dropped her name on accident, El Toro.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's okay. No.
And if you want
Good.
great tacos and you're in Twin Falls, that's the
They have
place
great
to go.
tacos.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do. They have great taco. Taco Tuesday.
Right?
Taco Tuesday, man.
But we were talking about some of the less fortunate during the holidays. And she and I came up with this idea of let's adopt a family with restaurants.
Okay.
And I went to 10 restaurants and I talked to all 10 of them. And I'm not talking like McDonald's. I'm talking about nice restaurants that you don't go to every day.
Right.
So all these big fancy restaurants donated one item apiece. And I put it out there as a drawing of you nominate your friend that needs the help. Don't do it online where everybody sees it. Send me a PM with their information. And I got 2 people that stood out from everybody else. And so I talked to all 10 restaurants and they all doubled up on their donation.
Nice.
So we were able to provide 2 complete Thanksgiving dinners to 2 families.
Wow.
The one lady's family, or the one lady and her family, she had just lost both the girls to cancer, like a week and a half before Thanksgiving. They let her out so she could spend Thanksgiving with her kids.
Okay.
The other one had a stroke right before Thanksgiving. Neither one of them was going to have Thanksgiving dinner. And that smacked me hard. And so I said, we got to start doing something for people. So we did that. We adopted a family, single mom with 3 kids for Christmas. I called out to all the other car people, and we raised up $350.
Nice.
And we gave them cash money because they know what they needed, not us.
Okay.
So, and that's why every Friday I'm doing cash giveaways of $100 right now, because people are calling me saying, "Hey, how can we help? What can we do? I've got an extra $25 this payday. Let me help you out."
So it's taken off.
And it's taken off. It's huge. It's beautiful. I've got $300 in my pocket for the next 3 weeks. $100 a week.
Nice.
And it's just from common people and little businesses saying, "Hey, we've got enough for what we need and a little extra. Let us help somebody else."
Nice. Yeah. I think that's great. And to hear that the community is coming together, like you said, and when like you said, cash, because they know what they need more sometimes than things handed to them, and nobody should go hungry.
Exactly.
Nobody should go without food. Not at all.
So they're reaching out to you for donations. Like the businesses are coming to you directly, say, "Hey, we want to help. Here's some money, or here's a gift card." You don't have to go anywhere to do that. You're not the one reaching out to them. They're reaching out to you.
Actually, I've always been the one reaching out to them, but here lately, since my hospital stay, the businesses and the individuals have been reaching out to me. I went to a gas station the other day, and a little girl working behind the register, she looked at me and she was like, "Hey, Sam, I've got $25 here. Put it in your drawing."
That's awesome.
It's not just the businesses; it's common everyday people.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it fills my heart with happiness because there's still good people out there. There is hope for humanity. It's not all the doom and gloom that people see in the media and on the news.
Well, it's all right now. It's just fear. Unfortunately, it's a lot of fear. It's a lot of uncertainty.
The COVID, the murder hornets,
yeah, what the
everything.
Yeah,
Goddamn
Satan
murder
wake up one morning and go, "Well, now that COVID's passing, I'm going to send the fucking murder hornets."
2020 is the year.
Yeah. We made it through. We made it through April, not through May yet. I don't even know what's coming next, right? Jesus, flying tarantulas or some shit.
Maybe the murder hornets are going to rob us of all of our toilet paper.
I know. Yeah, that was the thing.
When do I need to start buying toilet paper for the murder hornet pandemic?
I wonder if the wasp hornet spray has ran out on the shelves yet. If they even thought about that. But would that even work? Because those things sound beastly.
Oh, great. Now that you said that, I better go down and buy some hornet spray.
Like 4 cases of that, toilet paper, and some hornet spray.
So your videos are actually starting to go viral. I mean, going through your Facebook and looking at it, you're having tons of views, tons of comments, tons of interactions with all that stuff. What has been the general feedback for you?
Love.
All right.
People have been just sending love. It's been amazing. I went over and did a little video with a lady that has a crafting cottage here in town. She just opened it up, and then the pandemic hit and had to shut it down. She didn't have any time to save up money to keep it open. So she's been working with her landlord about, getting the rent paid and whatever. And so I went over and I was talking with her. We decided to do a giveaway. And some lady jumped on there, and it's the only negative I've seen on my page. Some lady jumped on there and started bashing her because she was trying to do a raffle for a $200 Yoda that she made. And it was like a 1.5 tall Yoda.
Yeah.
The baby Yoda thing.
Yeah.
And some lady actually called the state and had the gaming commission go into her store to shut down that raffle. Even though when she saw that she was outside the lines of the rules, she pulled it before the gaming commission got there.
Was her name Karen?
That's what we started.
Was it a Karen? Yeah.
That's
What's
a
the name of
Karen
the
move
shop?
right
Let's
there.
put the shop out there. What's the name of this lady's shop?
Chrissy's Crafting Cottage.
There you go. All right. So if anybody hears this, go down there and help her out. And the lady who got upset, the Karen who got upset about this, I hope you get a bag of dog shit for Christmas.
Or
a
murder hornet.
Or a murder hornet on your front door. Yeah, right? Just big ass sci-fi film murder hornet. I mean, how can... Oh, man. I'm sorry. People just... They just got to shit on good things, man. Yeah.
Exactly. But what was awesome is all the people commented around hers, and they told her pretty much to just shut up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want the negativity.
She probably didn't win a previous giveaway.
Actually, she's not even on my friends list.
Oh, she's not.
She and I have 3 mutual friends, and I don't even know how she saw it because she's not on Chrissy's page either.
No.
She's just
Somebody might have shared it like one of her friends shared it and she saw it.
And how do you know to even call it gaming commission? I don't even know. I wouldn't even know that was the thing. I'm like, it's a giveaway.
I mean, that's going a little extreme for that. That's not just like,
she has too much Karen time.
This is not just a keyboard warrior. This is somebody who's going the extra mile to make sure she's shut down.
Somebody just has to be miserable.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But 99.9% of the others are positive. So
exactly.
Take what you got, right?
So with the explosion in the popularity that you've seen with your videos and what you're doing, how has this affected you personally? Like, how has it changed you as a person?
I now have more stuff to do during the day.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. All right.
That's completely fair.
So this is keeping you fairly busy.
It is.
And what's your day like then? It's you're getting up, you're making contacts, you're
getting up in the morning, start talking to people, going and visiting businesses, picking up gift certificates, whatever. Like my son just messaged me a minute ago. He got me a $50 gift card for Jakers to give away.
Ooh, I like Jakers.
Nice.
Right.
That's the first place we ate when we came into town with the trailer of the U-Haul. Went right to Jakers. I don't know why,
buddy.
but 16-hour drive. I was like, oh, I'm so hungry. The Jakers.
Well, they can help you put the feed bag on.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, is there anything big planned for the future or coming up, like a big giveaway or a raffle?
There is. I'm announcing a $100 giveaway today. We'll be doing that giveaway probably Saturday. I was supposed to announce it yesterday, and I just got too tangled up and busy.
Sure.
But also, I met some guy messaged me yesterday and was like, "Hey, dude, come do a podcast with us." So I got that going on. It's Adulting is Hard.
There you go.
So
they sound like awesome guys.
They
They
sound
seem like
really,
they're pretty
really smart, I think. I mean, they just...
Probably the best podcast ever.
Yeah, ever.
I'm just
Biggest
saying.
podcast ever.
I will say this for him. It is the best podcast I've ever been on.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Out of the thousands you've done, right?
You've heard it here. You've heard it here first.
Whereas, folks, this is the place to be, right? For the people we asked to come on before, and they're like, nah, you missed out.
You missed out.
You missed out.
We tried to tell you.
We tried to.
You done
had
did
your
kick
chance.
yourself in the head.
Right? Yep. I appreciate that.
So, I know you know on Facebook alone that you've done a lot of inspirational work, and people are they're coming together over this kind of thing. And I know Ken and I personally have been inspired by what you do, and with this kind of explosion popularity and what you're doing, more and more people are reaching out to help other people, as we've kind of discussed before. So for those people who might be wanting to donate to your cause or get a hold of you and see what they can do, what does somebody do for that? So like an average Joe, if they want to help you out, like how does that work?
They can shoot me a message on Facebook. It's Bigdawg Marsh, Bigdawg Marsh, just like the swamp. They can reach me on my cell phone. It's 208-613-7133. You can either call me or text me. Usually text is best because, sometimes I'm talking with people and I don't answer my phone.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
So just to let you guys know, we will have that description, or we will have his links in the description with his phone number, so you can contact him if you want to help, if you want to donate, or you just want to learn more about what he's doing.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Be sure to visit his page, give him a like, watch his videos, share that shit, because this is what we need in a time that has murder hornets
and shit
and a
going
coronavirus
on.
going around. This is what we need in our lives.
I don't know which one I'd rather have, the virus or the murder hornet. Jesus, dude.
Now, just so you guys know, I'm sure you've seen Captain Jack Sparrow run around town.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a good buddy of mine. We've got some other things coming up together that we're going to be doing. Also, I would like to invite you guys to participate with us. I'm hosting the first annual Bigdawg and Friends Trunk or Treat this Halloween.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm going to have the train ride there, the photo booth, and a DJ. So it's going to be a kicking time. Everything's going to be free to the kids. Businesses, there will be a slight charge to come set up. But the money that we're raising from that is going to pay for the events at the trunk or treat. And then the leftover profits from that is going to go into the Christmas fund. So we can hopefully adopt a couple of different families this year.
Now the question is El Toro going to be there with the taco truck?
I'm not sure if they're going to have the taco truck up and running.
Okay, I'll still be there, but I appreciate the invitation. I'll still be there. If there's tacos, I'll bring more people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you know what we might have to do? We might have to get Captain Jack on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we might have to reach out to him and see if he'll come on here too, because he's like the postman, rain, sleet, snow, whatever. That man's out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's out there a lot. And
it's funny you said the postman because that's exactly what he is. You remember the Kevin Costner movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Costner wasn't really a postman. He's not really a pirate.
Right. Wait, what? Wait, what? Right? My whole life is a lie.
Oh, no.
What the hell is going on here?
No, but we appreciate the invite. And
Yeah.
we will definitely be there. I'll give you 100% certainty we will be
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I'll bring my boys and stuff, and we'll definitely come and do that. And then I think what we'll do is on Facebook, I have Cap Jack on there. I'll reach out.
Yeah.
We'll have him come in, and he can promote too. And I just think the next few months, actually the rest of the year is going to need a lot of what you guys do. This is not just going to stop all of a sudden in next month and then poof.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then the Murder Hornets coming and all that shit, and I'm just telling you right now.
That's awesome.
Well, we do appreciate you coming on. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, great.
And lucky for you guys listening out here, he's staying for one more segment, right?
Sure.
Because we got the best thing coming for you. And you know what that is? It is that time of day. So what do we got, Logan?
Florida Man.
Damn right. We got the Florida Man. And this time we dug up a gem for you. I mean, this is...
You didn't really have to dig this. This one was in the top of the news.
Yeah, I mean, this is straight
guy.
from Fox News.
Yeah,
and,
so it's legit because we know Fox News is real, right? I mean, unbiased assholes.
This could be our best article that we've ever found.
This is a great one.
So, Sam, you were telling us earlier that you don't know what Florida Man articles are.
Yeah.
And Florida Man articles will brighten your day no matter how shitty of a day you're having. You find one of these things, you're like, well, at least I'm not that guy.
Some jag off on bath salts out there is having a worse day. Nice. I mean, that's how you got to look at it. And
so let's go ahead and we'll dive right into this article. Ken, how about you go and lead us in with this?
All right, so I'm going to go with, we got a Florida man attacks a gas station clerk with hot dogs, a corn dog stick over beer. That's what the cops say.
I mean, just face value, without even reading that article, you know it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, and we've already watched the surveillance footage of it, and it was pretty blatant. Okay, it wasn't an accident. He's checking one of the, those hot dogs in those stores are, some of them have been there like 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
And they've gone from the quarter-pound size down to this little thing like this, and it's either
They're
get
burnt,
Ebola,
shriveled.
Zombie infection, or you throw them like a weapon. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I mean, you take
That
a
thing
chance
could
on
cause
that.
some damage.
That's why you
Poke an
cover
eye
them in nacho cheese and chili from the 7-Eleven machines. Because if you're going to go big, just go big, all right?
You might as well taste that than anything else.
Well, yeah, because the hot dog's going to taste like ass. Okay, so a Florida man desperate to get his beer Friday used hot dogs and a corn dog stick to attack a gas station clerk. Caveman McDaniel, 35, threw hot dogs and poked the female clerk with a corn dog stick at the Petro gas station in Marion County. McDaniel's bizarre outbreak allegedly began after the clerk refused to sell him beer, and it's unclear what the clerk's reason was. I could probably give you 20 of them. I bet you he's probably either highly intoxicated. What are we doing over under on bath salts?
The under-over on bath salts in this guy's system is 73%. Compared to what would be 17 or 27%.
Yeah, we'll do like
genetics.
we do terrible math. So
what's your under over? You take the under and over on the 73%.
Boo! Just looking at the picture of the dude, I think his tree doesn't branch very much.
Dude, I like that. It doesn't. That's awesome. It doesn't branch very much.
It's kind of like a tumbleweed.
So his sister might also be his mom, kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm assuming his address is his mom's mobile home park. All right. So the victim was left with a red mark under her eye due to the corn dog stick attack. I'm sorry to laugh at that. I mean, at least you didn't lose an eye. How'd you get a patch, dude? It's
what
crazy.
Did he do with the corn dog?
Well,
it says he threw a hot dog at her, but what did he do with the corn dog?
So it looked like from the
he's
footage,
got the stick.
He ate the corn dog while he's in the store.
But was the corn dog from that store, or did he walk in with the stick?
That's what I'm
from
wondering.
another
Did he
store?
go to another store, get refused, took their corn dog?
Answers.
Yes.
We got to find this out.
Yeah, we're going to have to investigate this a little bit deeper and find out. So, so Kevin McDaniel threw hot dogs and poked the female clerk with a corn dog stick at the Petro gas station. Did I already read this?
Yeah,
I did. Why am I reading this again? Come on. Okay. So the surveillance video captured a man identified as McDaniel lunging with a hot dog stick at the clerk. McDaniel was charged with battery, touch, or strike.
Didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought you had to I guess that's their way of saying you like you got a brother or sister, I'm not touching you, and you do it.
Yeah.
That's about as heavy as the charge is. He also violated his probation. No surprise there. And is being held.
What, you're saying this is the first time a guy's committed a crime?
I'm thinking.
This guy?
Well,
This guy?
I usually try to defend and say maybe he's having a bad day, right? But no, I'm thinking that.
Dude, you gotta be like a lifelong criminal to come up with the bloodthirsty stuff of throwing a hot dog at a station attendant.
Yeah,
That's just evil, man.
Well, and then
doesn't?
and then he's being held in jail on no bond, which is pretty harsh. I mean, to have no bond for chucking. But see, I'm telling you, those hot dogs,
Sweaty hot dogs, dude.
sweaty hot dogs, the old ones. I mean, they're weapons, dude. Okay.
Something just popped in my head too.
Oh god, hot dog. A
Was
wiener?
this guy carrying the hot dogs in his hand, like without a napkin, like
Yes.
in a bun?
You
Like,
saw him
Did he
chuck
have
it?
it in a bun and then take it out of the bun and chuck it?
It was a
or was he-
COVID-19 dog. He
Oh.
wasn't wearing
Oh
gloves.
god.
That's a
know-
that's a domestic terrorist attack right there.
That's it.
Normally there's a 5-second rule.
Straight to
but
hell for him.
I think that 5-second rule expired like 3 days ago.
Oh yeah.
With this
Yeah.
hot dog.
Well, I'm telling you, dude. I miss 7-Elevens. I know that they used to have them here.
Yep.
And I used to remember going to the rack, and you always ask the guy, "How long have these been on there?" We just put them on there. You're like, "No, you didn't," because I know what a hot dog out of the package looks like. And this thing is not a quarter pounder. It's shrunk about this much, and it's been there since yesterday.
Looks like Ron Jeremy filming Snake River in December.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, yeah, it looked like he just underhand chucked a hot dog and then stabbed her with the corn dog stick.
Corn
so,
dog stick. There's so many questions left unanswered with this thing that
my thing is when you're
wanna
in
know.
county jail and people are like, "What are you in for?" Right? Some
Chucked a hot
some
dog
guys
at a
like, "I
clerk."
stole a car." Other dudes like, "I was putting bath salts up my butthole." What'd you do? I stabbed somebody with a corn dog stick and threw a hot dog at him.
Come at me, bro.
And they're like, "What's your bail?" None. And this other guy who's stealing cars goes, "Oh, my bail's like $5,000. I just can't afford it." Right? That's what I'm thinking.
what are you in jail for? Oh, I chucked hot dogs at somebody and then stabbed him with a corn dog stick. What are you in jail for? Broke quarantine.
Yeah.
Went to the park.
But you're saying stabbed her with a hot dogs or corn dogs.
Well, this motion is a stabbing motion, I would say.
Let's call it what it is. He was trying to shank her.
He was trying to shank her, yeah.
You got
He was
prison
using
rules.
his wiener
Yeah,
stick.
prison rolls. Yeah, shanker. He was probably sharpening it with his teeth. That's what he's doing. Just taking chunks off like a pencil.
He's like, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
I've been
He
to
wasn't
jail.
trying to be mean. He was trying to flirt. He threw the wiener at her.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
That sounds seductive to me.
Yeah.
Right?
You
I'm
ever poke
surprised they didn't
somebody with your wiener stick?
I'm surprised they didn't charge him with some kind of a sexual battery of some sort by throwing a wiener. you threw a bratwurst at her?
Good thing it wasn't cheddar wurst.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Well, we have reached the end of our episode for another great episode. 6 is in the books. We have another episode 7.
So we're already
a
starting
great
it,
episode.
yeah.
We're already getting started on it. Another great lineup for episode 7. You're going to want to stick by. Or you're going to want to stick around for that. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter @isadulting. You can also send us an email, podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com. Visit us on our website, www.adultingproductions.com. And you can also follow us, or you can also listen to us on all the major platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Acast, SoundCloud. Anyway, guys, it's been great, and we will be back with you in the next podcast pretty shortly here.